Tori Autumn is here from the fabulous DC metro area. Um, and we're going to talk about all kinds of things, but I think we're probably going to focus on engagement and visibility because we were just talking. Tori has built her audience to really about 8,000 plus people across all of the channels, which is amazing. Um, but first, like, how are you this morning? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Erin. Happy summer solstice. We were talking
Happy
about.
summer solstice. I've already forgotten. Like, this is squirrel brain today.
Yeah,
Tori got the pleasure of hearing me like yell at my kids, like, it's time for swimming, get your stuff. And I don't know how long you were online before I was like, so it was like, I told you 3 times to get your towel.
I'm trying to get my dog to be quiet, so I understand. She only wants to bark when I'm on video. It's the funniest thing.
Dogs are welcome. Children are welcome. This is life. It has always been my life, but it is, I think, everyone's life
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit. Like, you are a website and email copywriter. How'd you get started?
Yeah. So I got started early 2021. So I've been doing it almost a year and a half. And prior to that, I was a self-love coach, and I produced weekly newsletters about self-love, about healing after a toxic relationship, in which that was the niche that I helped women love themselves more. And I always got the feedback like, wow, you write these great storytelling newsletters, and I always look forward to reading your emails. And there were a particular group of women who would read them because they were copywriters and they were entrepreneurs. So they wanted, you know, how we just like to read other people's stuff just to see how they write and their tone and voice. And so I started getting offers to write people newsletters, but it never occurred to me that it's so easy to me. And I thought that, I couldn't get paid for that because it was just too easy to do. So I started just I just started like hoarding online courses, email stars, like the copy cure, just all of those things, learning about copywriting primarily because I wanted to be a better copywriter for myself in the self-love coaching. And then I started, the more and more requests I started getting to help people write email templates and sales emails and newsletters and website copy. I said, okay, I actually want to make this a thing now. Like, I don't need to say that I do this for fun. I can get paid. And so I did it. I'm actually still in the process of transitioning my brand from self-love coaching into fully conversion copywriting with website and email specialty. And that in itself is a journey because I had a lot of identity shifts with that. Like, I am a self-love coach. How can I now say I'm a copywriter? But this feels more aligned to me. This feels like I went to school for journalism. I studied PR for years. So one of the things that I do help my clients with on top of email and website copy is coming up with a customized media outreach plan. And these things are just so easy and fun to me. And definitely love the income with it.
Right. Well, I think, well, there's two things that I just heard you say is, like, first, it's hard to own things that come easy. Even like if your background is all in helping people own their stuff, it's hard to own it for yourself because you're just like, well, writing has always been easy for me, and website copywriting specifically, which is my focus, and branding as well to that end. But yeah, it's like when it comes easy, it is like this mind-blowing realization to realize that it is not easy to everyone. And what feels so insanely straightforward to you is really hard. It's like, for me, I took physics for fun in college, and it was
Mhm.
really hard. But it was like, there's someone who just got it. Like, there are people in the class who just got it. And they're like, well, but it's so easy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but
Same with me. I could not pass my accounting class to save my life. I ended up going to community college just so that I didn't have to stay in college for years and years longer. But I just know that anything math related is not my thing.
But I did well in math, but I think like trigonometry, anyway, we're getting way off track, but trigonometry is hard for me to finish that thought, and it was trig-based calc. But like accounting math, I feel like is different math. Like I feel
Yeah.
like it is not 100% simple. And I work with a lot of accountants, which is funny, but I also the very first thing I outsourced was bookkeeping. Because I was like, I can keep track of all the things, but then when it gets weird with payments and um, like interest that go, like credit card fees and all the things. It was
Yeah.
like, I need someone to help me manage this
Good.
because I could do it, like, but I shouldn't.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because
I mean,
Erica, who does mine, can do it well and fast, and like it would probably take me hours to do something that she does in like 10 minutes.
and that's how bringing it back to copy. That's
Yeah.
how I feel. Like some people who feel like that's always getting pushed down to the bottom of their to do list. It would, I wouldn't say it takes me 10 minutes, but it definitely doesn't take that long, and it's one of those skills that I really enjoy doing. And I don't enjoy doing bookkeeping. I don't enjoy doing accounting. I don't enjoy all those uncomfortable things, looking at money, even though I probably should look at my money more. Let's be honest, but I don't enjoy doing all those things, and so I love being able to outsource those things. That was the first thing I outsourced as well, is what you said.
Well, it's so smart. So
Yeah.
smart to do. Um, but I want to talk more about audience building because, for one, you've got a really cool freebie about building your audience and specifically about building engagement.
Mhm.
And that link is available in the description of this event for anyone who is currently watching. I just checked. But you've also had a lot of success with it personally. Can we talk a little bit about audience engagement?
Yes, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. So I and this is taking this from a perspective of someone who is extremely shy, extremely introverted. I love being a grandma, like just being in my house with a robe on, yelling at people making too much noise, being asleep by like 10 p.m. I'm definitely watching Lifetime movies. That is me. But with spending so much time by myself, like doing the work time, right? I love networking. I love meeting other people, more so one on one. And those one on one connections have really helped with visibility. And also, and when I say one on one, I'll just go a little bit deeper in that. Whenever I follow somebody on Instagram or follow request someone on LinkedIn, I immediately want to make a connection. How did I find them? I saw they may be in front of someone's. I may have used their program, their product, or service, or I may have heard them speak on a podcast, and I immediately want to make that connection. And people really love to know those things. I think one of the things that I've heard lots of other copywriters say about you is that you're everywhere, Erin. Like you're just killing it. You're just showing up everywhere. I sometimes think you're in my house, like just there, and that is an amazing thing to have that type of visibility. But I think it's for people who are just starting off. I think we underestimate those one-on-one connections that we can make in um, one of the things that I hear comes up a lot is I don't want to meet one on one with someone and they think that I'm using them. Like if I want a resource or may want an introduction to someone else, whatever that intention is. But I would say just start off with just having the intention of just starting a conversation, and that helps with keeping top of mind. Another thing is going back to what you said earlier about what seems really easy for us is can be really hard for other people. I know lots of people who struggle with writing for themselves as well as copywriters. And I think just letting people know what comes really easy for you, but also what you really love to do is a great thing. You can never not say that enough. I've learned with visibility and just building my audience is that you have to like really shout your message from the rooftop. It's not enough to say that you like to do something or you're good at doing something or you have the social proof and all of the psychology back research. It's not enough to say that stuff one time. You want to say it in different ways. You want to bring different flavors of it. You do want to show what you stand for and how you show that in your services and the type of people you work with. So there's so many different things. And the last thing I'll say is sometimes people think that being visible means you have to produce a lot of content. And although I'm currently learning the like how to make that work in my business, which I want to do a lot of blogging as my main content, but I'm also learning that if you don't have the capacity or the bandwidth for that right now, really just sticking to one social media that you can write a quick post about some things about yourself, but mainly like what are you an expert for? What are you known for? And just keep showing that every day or at least 3 or 4 times a week. And that has really helped me dramatically not only increase my visibility but audience engagement, because I do take out time and make sure I respond and interact with people who either I would want to work with or who I would want to be in my immediate circle.
It's interesting to hear you say all that because a lot of our philosophies are really closely aligned. It's and maybe it's the PR background that's part of that, because I think although I've done a lot of PR, my background is not officially PR, but it's like, all right, so what is it? And I think it's like letting go of that outcome. Like you said, the outcome isn't to make a sale, the outcome is to start a conversation.
Yeah.
And that has been a really key part of my networking strategy as well. I think we talked about this offline. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago? I've completely lost track of time. All I know is that apparently it is summer solstice today, which is a huge holiday where I'm from. Like, again,
Yeah.
holiday, quote unquote, because it's Alaska and the longest day of the year, and it's a big source of celebration. People
Wow.
look at me like totally side-eyed when I'm like, solstice, what are you doing? And they're like, they're like, it's a day. I'm not anyway. So, but is that I'm an ambivert, and I am either 100% energized by people or I am 100% drained by them. But at
Mm,
the one-on-one conversations, I also find extremely meaningful.
mm,
When I committed to doing these lives, I was like, man, 3 times a week for a year, what am I gonna do? And then I was like, you know what? I'm having these one-on-one conversations with people anyway.
mhm.
I love coffee chats. I try to have 2 or 3 a week. Or I was. Now it's like down to like 1 to 2 because of these lives. But
Yeah.
it's like, why not turn it into a marketing opportunity? Why not
Mm,
broadcast these conversations? Because there's so much of value that we talk about that other people can glean information from. Um, but yeah, I wonder. And people tell me I show up everywhere, and I'm like, really? That's really awesome.
no.
But I have a VA who does my Instagram. I write all the content. We sit down once a week. We actually just met this morning. And she's like, all right, here's what you're missing. Here's what I need more from you on. Here's what I need, da, 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 da. And then that gives, I write it. She does everything else. She makes it go live. If someone is showing up in the comments or posting stories or all the things, that is me. Like, no one else does my engagement for me. But for me, the roadblock was staying on top of writing the things and getting
Mm,
it done. So instead, it was more important to me to get it out there. And so it's not always 100% perfect. It is
mhm.
not always 100% the way I would have done things, but it doesn't matter because I mean, first of all, the stuff I put out there myself is never 100% perfect. So there's that. But it doesn't matter to me, right? Because it's getting out there. It is like making those, and then we can repurpose content. We are finally building a plan for repurposing these LinkedIn lives, by the way, which
Oh,
will make
cool.
your PR heart happy.
That's awesome.
But and it's like we're talking about some of the other things we could do, and some of it's just like it's more work. Like you said, it's overwhelming to turn this into a podcast. So it's not a podcast. It is YouTube. It is LinkedIn. It is Facebook. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a really interesting conversation to let go of the outcome.
Yeah.
And there's so much of that. And I think this is what we talked about, isn't it? Like how it's it's more authentic when you're like, literally, I just want a conversation. I remember like when I was first starting doing like the weekly coffee chats, and I tried to do them with people in different businesses. This one lady was posting some really cool stuff on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I would love to know more. Can we have a conversation sometime? And she was like very resistant. And I'm like, oh, send me your email. I'll give you an invite. And she's like, no. And she didn't want to give up her email. I'm like, fine, that's fine. And like, just so you know, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I literally just want to talk.
Yeah.
And by the end of the conversation, she's like, I didn't believe you. This was fantastic.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and what I have found, I can't out for me, visibility has helped in terms of my business with that word of mouth piece and that referral. So I haven't yet done a paid ads to grow my email list, although I do want to do those things. But I feel grateful that my like building connection has really helped my business. How have you been finding that, or are you doing the paid ads as well?
My business is almost exclusively built on referrals.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a few opportunities that I have quote unquote applied for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer in Upwork as well. I was very resistant towards it um, early on, and Rob Perry has shown me the light, so to speak. But I have done a lot of cold pitching, but it was compared to what I've gotten from referrals and from building the network is like next to nothing. So, um, one of my longest standing clients is my best friend who I've actually known for 37 years now, which is very, very scary to say. And another is someone that I also grew up with, different capacity, different things that we're doing things for. But it's just, and that we've kind of done these circles over the last 3 years, but it keeps coming back. And it's because of that trust
Mm-hmm.
and that knowledge. But so much of what I've done, and I think it's about doing a good job,
Yeah.
because who would you rather hire? Would you rather put out a post into the other and say, I'm looking for a dot, 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 and have 50 people message you and be totally overwhelmed? Or would you rather have someone refer like
Mm-hmm.
3 people to you? You're like, hey, I've worked with these people. I love them. And so not only is it easier, I think, from a hiring standpoint, but it's way easier to stand out and be one of 3 than it is to be one of 50.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think it's a slower build. I don't know about you. Mine was a slower build because it was so referral based.
Yeah.
I get very uncomfortable with sales. I can do them, but my we can talk about this too. My perspective of sales is that sales is service.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so when you come at it from a point of serving people and supporting them, it just feels better. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you need. Here's how I can help. Oh, by the way, I hear you saying that this is what you need, but I think you actually need something else.
Yeah.
Or you need something else first. And a lot of the times, and we can talk because you do website copy too. A lot of the times people say, I need website copy. And we'll be talking. They'll be like, you've been in business for like 15 years. You have a team of 50. Have you ever done messaging? And they're like, what? No. It's
Mhm.
like, let's roll it back. I think you need messaging first. And
Yeah.
from there, the website copy is more effective. How Talk to me a little bit, like, because you've been talking a lot about email and social,
Yeah.
but you do web too. How does that work? How is that built for you?
Yeah. So that came about, I'll just say that came about when I was going through Robin Care's copywriting accelerator program. And I just looked at all of the projects that I had done because there's um, when you first starting off out, you're just doing lots of different projects to see what feels right. And so website and email were the top 2 that I really love doing, but also I really like doing the strategy behind those 2 things. And so what you mentioned about that audience research, the messaging, like all of those things, that high level strategy is what people don't expect to get, but it's so valuable, and it helps the copy become even stronger. It's not sometimes I think when I say those things like, oh, we need to look into messaging and brand strategy and audience research and blah blah blah, people are thinking that they're getting an upsell. No, copy is um, great copy is one thing to have, but great copy and really knowing your audience well, and that'll help the conversions go through the roof. And it
Yeah.
also, yeah, it also helps with in one way that visibility piece, because if you know how to talk to your audience, you feel more comfortable writing captions. You feel more equipped knowing what type of stuff to say in surveys. You feel like you can actually handle the data side, which is what a lot of people shy away from. But you feel like you
Mhm.
can do a lot more with that. So I think with me, my process is very getting clear on who you're serving and what do you do, and those the basic things, but also how are we going to move forward? How are you thinking about reaching out to your audience and understanding what it is, and also reaching to them on that strong emotional side, because lots of people, there are lots of impulse buyers. I'm one of them. But there are lots of people who think logically as well, and but we all know that emotions definitely drive lots of sales. And as people don't think about these things, it makes me feel good knowing that when I'm writing copy, and I feel super prepared with all the messaging that we start off doing, it also is going to serve not only my client but their clients, just like a full circle feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I think you. I feel like there's so many parallels in our lives and our philosophies and our businesses, and I feel like we need to talk more and more because there's so many interesting things that you've just hit on there. But yeah, I think having that strategy is really important. And the thing is even if one person in the business can answer something super concisely, if there's even if you only have a team of 5, if there are 5 different versions that sort of are the similar but are also like sort of conflicting, then you have a messaging problem, and it's going to come across in customer experience, it's going to come across in business operations, and you are going to have like crazy disconnects if you can't all get on the same page about what you do. It's one thing to say it slightly differently, but it's something else to do it, and it's even worse when they are totally in conflict. And I think it can be stressful to undertake, but it's, when you go back to the why, like, okay, why are we doing this rebranding, why are we doing this brand strategy? What you've done has worked to get you to here, but you're not growing further. And why is that? What is stopping you? And I think that's a really interesting conversation, because then they're like, oh, yeah. And so then it's, by refocusing, you can get people kind of back to the, maybe you're right. Or maybe, and it's not that it's ever coming from a bad place, right? It's all coming from a good place. It's just like different perspectives of how to get there. Like building the house. If you have someone who is trying to pour the foundation after the frame's already up, you're going to have problems. And that's a terrible analogy, but it's what I've got for it. But yeah, this is so your background's PR. People can download your resource for audience engagement. The link is in the comments. Is there, and that gets you on the email list, right?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. I'm excited. I just signed up this morning, so I cannot wait to to start getting these emails that have launched 1,000 ships. But the last question I have for you, well, I have two. One, where can people go to learn more about you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn at Tori Autumn, or my website at heytoriautumn.com. And I'm also on Instagram at heytoriautumn.
And those
And
are the three places where you hang out the most.
yes, yes, those are the three places. And also make sure you grab your checklists on how you can be more engaging with your audience. Thank you so much for this today, Erin. It was lots of fun. It's always fun talking to you.
Always fun talking. But I have one more question, and that is, who do you primarily work with?
I primarily work with women online business owners. So women online business owners who have already created their services. They know their audience pretty well. I I used to niche down to coaches and course creators, but lately I've been getting everybody but coaches and course creators. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna not niche it and just say on women online business owners as of now.
It's so funny. I feel like the universe tests you. As soon as you're like, this is the direction I'm going to go, they're like, hey.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what's been happening. So, but yeah, that's
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this. This has been an absolute blast. Come back literally anytime.
thank
Um,
you.
it's really fun to talk about these things. And um, is there any final advice, any final things that you would like to share with someone, like maybe your top tip for building engagement?
Ooh, that's a great
I
question.
said one more question, but we've got time, so why
Oh,
not?
yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great question. Um, I would say, in terms of if you're trying to figure out your form of how you want to build engagement with your audience or be more visible, um, I would look at if you like to write more or if you like to do video more or audio, which for podcasts, or and also seeing how you can utilize other people's audiences in a way that benefits everyone, that benefits their audience, and getting in front of those audiences are crucial. But another tip I would say is business growth is the same as personal growth, in my opinion. I've noticed that things in my life, my personal life, has shifted while my business was growing. As much as I want to keep the two separate, they are two separate entities at times. I just accepted that I'm growing as a person, and certain things with those next stages of my business grow too. So yeah, thank you so
I like
much.
that. I am literally writing that down. Business growth is personal growth. And I agree with you. Absolutely. I am not the same person that I was 3 years ago. And in a really, in mostly good way. Like,
Mhm.
not all change is good change, but most of it is.
Yeah, that's good
And
to hear.
kind of, it's like, looking back, and I don't know, because you've been doing this for a year and a half.
Mhm.
Do you ever wish you'd started sooner?
Oh yeah. I wish I started back in 1945 before I was even born.
With you. Yeah. Yeah. Business growth is personal growth. I love it. Okay. I am going to hit end here, and then I am going to go to town promoting you, and we'll see where we go.